On Colts Nation, welcome back to another episode of Bring the Juice. Guys, the Indianapolis Colts, they're not budging. Shane Steichen reports that the Colts will be sticking with Joe Flacco going forward. We're about to talk about that here in a second, but before we get into that, guys, just want to say again, this episode is presented by PrizePicks. Be sure to visit the PrizePicks app today and use the code BTJ for a free $50 deposit on your first $5 lineup. So, after the Colts get humiliated on Sunday Night Football against the Minnesota Vikings, we heard all week that the Indianapolis Colts, their main problem is what they're saying was Anthony Richardson, and that Joe Flacco gave you the best chance to win on any given week. And we saw that the Indianapolis Colts proceeded to have their worst offensive day the entire season with Joe Flacco now at the helm. And a lot of Colts fans, and rightfully so, immediately taking to social media to voice their frustrations about how this was handled and, showing the fact that, again, this team was putting the blame on Anthony Richardson, but there's clearly bigger issues at stake here than Anthony Richardson. And of course, a lot of people were saying this just solidifies the fact that it doesn't matter which quarterback you put out there right now. The offense is just not going to look good. And the Colts were like, and Colts fans say, it's time to just put Anthony Richardson back in. And I totally think they should. But Shane Steichen has other plans and says that they will be sticking with Joe Flacco for the remainder of the year. Says we're going to stay put with Joe going forward right now. Now, this is very similar language to kind of what happened with Anthony Richardson a week and a half ago. But again, it sounds like they want to stick it with Flacco for the remainder of the season. But I want to talk about it for a second here, guys. I'm disappointed. I definitely can say that I'm disappointed in this decision. I thought the Indianapolis Colts would come to their senses and realize that, it might actually be worth it to try to get Anthony Richardson the reps. Because, it's kind of funny because when you look at overall the offenses, guys, like when Anthony Richardson is out there versus when Joe Flacco is out there, no doubt that overall the passing yards, it is much higher for the Indianapolis Colts when it comes to that, when Joe Flacco's out there versus when Anthony Richardson's out there. No doubt that, overall, the QB rating is way better. The completion percentage is typically is most all the time better. Sure. But when you look at the overall yardage and when you look at the overall points, there is no difference between an Anthony Richardson-led offense and a Joe Flacco-led offense. I mean, I'm just keeping it a buck. Again, we talk so much about Anthony Richardson and his, completion percentage and his QBR. No doubt that those are terrible numbers. And I think a lot of people are trying to misstrew what a lot of Colts fans are feeling in saying that the Colts should have just played AR, not because we felt that Anthony Richardson would have been better in this particular circumstance. He could have been, he might not have been. It would have been a different, whatever, it doesn't matter. But all of us believe that Anthony Richardson was capable of putting on that performance last night. That will probably be the worst performance that Joe Flacco will have all year. But you can't have that kind of game from Joe Flacco immediately after you were installing so much confidence to Colts fans and to football fans across the world that your team was better off with Joe Flacco, that he gives you a chance to win right now. And I mean, it wasn't even the fact that you lost. I mean, your offense looked pitiful. And again, like we said, the yardage, the points, they're all the same. With Anthony Richardson and a Joe Flacco led offense. With a Joe Flacco led offense, most of the time you have more passing yards, but almost every time you have less rushing yards. Almost every time. But when it comes to an Anthony Richardson led one, again, you have a lot less passing yards half the time, but you run the ball a lot more effectively. And anyone that understands why, I don't need to explain it to you. You know why.
Well, guys, with football season finally getting back into the swing of things, first off, we rejoice, but also, guys, when it comes to PrizePicks, this is going to be a great way for you guys, especially, to check out some of the stuff that PrizePicks has. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. You heard me right. Only 4 correct picks. You can win 100 times your money, guys, on PrizePicks. Be sure to sign up today and get $50 off instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. So if you're looking specifically for the Colts stuff, that's definitely something you guys should check out. But if you're looking for, like me, more NFL stuff, there's all sorts of stats and stuff that you can check out and make your picks. And there's definitely guys that are very consistent, like Jonathan Taylor against the Houston Texans, that you really feel like you can probably feel pretty good about overall, right? And there's some other ones where you're like, I don't know if I would take the over on that. I don't know if I would pick them to hit that margin, right? So, guys, be sure to go check out all that stuff on PrizePicks. It's only a couple examples. There's all the different odds that you could hope for when it comes to that for PrizePicks. So I highly encourage you guys to go check that out, but definitely excited for this season, and hopefully you guys will be following along with us and everything with PrizePicks and what they do. So be sure to download the app today. Use the code JUICE to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the PrizePicks app today. Use the code JUICE to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Like I said, guys, it's a great way to continue to stay in with week to week life of the NFL, specifically with your favorite team, the Indianapolis Colts. So be sure to do that. Be sure to check out PrizePicks. And remember, PrizePicks, run your game.
And the issue has become, and I think that what we've seen is this is not only a mishandled situation, but it has become an issue that is beyond a quarterback change. Like, I don't know. I mean, because if you put a really good quarterback on this team, yeah, this team probably gets better. A lot better, honestly. Probably executes better. But overall, you have seen neither one of these quarterbacks really excel in the offense, right? Like, don't let Joe Flacco's game against the Jaguars, in which he had 200 yards passing in the fourth quarter against a Jacksonville team that at this current moment sits as the 31st worst pass defense in the NFL, to stow you away from the fact that this offense, from an efficiency standpoint, an effectiveness standpoint, has not been good this year. We have been saying that, again, at least with Anthony Richardson, you're going to get explosive plays. You know that your run game is going to be more effective with Anthony Richardson. It's at least there in those regards. You at least know that you're going to have something to try to move your offense. It might not be pretty, but it's a lot more fun to watch, and it's a work in progress. But you just saw this last weekend. I mean, Joe Flacco had an utterly terrible performance. Utterly terrible. Part of it on him, part of it on Shane Steichen, who, again, as a play caller this year and someone who has been a problem here, is that Shane Steichen has repeatedly said that it comes back on me and that some scheme stuff is what's wrong here. So, again, we've heard this before with previous regimes. And, I mean, it's clear that it is not as much of a quarterback issue in Indianapolis right now. It is more of trying to figure out how you're going to utilize this scheme for whichever quarterback you play. And right now, they're sticking with Joe Flacco. And again, I can't sit here and say that I agree with it, because Anthony Richardson, you saw against the Vikings that Anthony Richardson has been made out to be the fall guy. He has been the fall guy in this entire situation. And now the Colts are not going to waver from their decision. They have laid their bed and they are going to sit in it. And it might bury them with it. But here's my problem though with it is, how in the world is Chris Ballard allowing this to happen is what's crazy to me. I don't know how Ballard is allowing Shane Steichen and this team to operate like this. Honestly, I'm surprised, because Ballard's stake is in Anthony Richardson. And if Anthony Richardson doesn't perform, and if Anthony Richardson ends up either leaving this team or never getting good, you're firing Chris Ballard. And the fact that you're taking away his reps, all because you think that Joe Flacco at the age of 40 is somehow going to lead this offense to the promised land, when it has shown you consistently, when Joe Flacco plays, you can't run the ball effectively. And you just saw against the 28th worst pass defense in the NFL, you could barely even sustain a pass offense. So I hate this decision. I can't support it. I have a feeling that Lucas Oil Stadium is not going to be very happy on Sunday, because, again, a lot of Colts fans have shown their displeasure with how the Colts have handled this situation. And I don't know, man. It's just not something that I really wanted them to do. I would have hoped that they come back to their senses and go ahead and would have brought AR back into the fold. But apparently this isn't a one-game thing. This is supposedly a season-long thing. I don't know. I hate this. I don't like it at all. But still gonna root for this team because I want them to win. But maybe it's funny. Maybe it's reverse psychology. Maybe the Indianapolis Colts secretly do know that Joe Flacco is worse than Anthony Richardson in the long run. And maybe that's why they're playing him now. Maybe they're secretly wearing Flacco down throughout the year. So maybe, as the year goes on, Flacco looks worse and worse. And, the Colts lose a lot of games and we stay high in the draft order. Hey, listen, am I being a conspiracy theorist here? Maybe. But I got a feeling on that. But that's going to do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts on this news. Thank you so much. And as always,